not without some drama, because she asked off like months in advance to be able to attend her nephew's, like a great nephew's graduation, high school graduation. And they put her on the schedule anyway for that week that she asked off. And she's like, you know, one of these perfect people who doesn't like mess up, you know, like, so I think they did it on purpose to agitate her in retrospect because of how everything unfolded. So she approached them and her manager and said, I asked off in January. I purposely requested off for this week way in advance to make sure I could attend this high school graduation. And they're like, well, you have to show up because we have, they actually said that, which means they were being dumb and riling her up, because they're not allowed to say that. She asked, they know that she asked, they know she put in her request. And also, it's not a big deal to miss these big events. They had like a special big event. Like, no one cares if one food sample lady isn't there, you know what I mean? So what happened is my mom sort of had a feminist moment, like Norma Ray, like she stormed out and said, I quit, a whole thing. Meanwhile, and then like a month later, she would hear that the manager was fired for other reasons, like having an affair or fraternizing with an employee, or I don't know, but it felt like a set, because of how many things have been set up in our world. I wondered if she was set up, and she wouldn't have known that, I wouldn't have known it. Now I'm more prepared for when people do dumb things, but it doesn't always work because they rile people up on purpose. So our family was surrounded by riler-uppers. I actually believe that. It's like a web or a net. Things are better now because higher level people came in to push these people aside, and you never know where they're going to wind up. But in retrospect, like, she told me the whole story, and then I wrote a little book, a tribute to her, like Swan Song of the Sample Lady. And in retrospect, it's like they totally set her up, I think. Like, you actually have to document it and read through it and then be like, no one does that. Like, a manager doesn't do that. No one cares who shows up to the, you know, they have cultures at these at these places, Costco, I guess, Sam's Club. Also, P.S., it's Sam's Club. So we'll get into the name of Sam later. But it's possible people would know to go to Sam's Club to get hired. My mom was stuck, and it was the last place she knew to go because my aunt's second husband worked there, and he pulled strings and got her in. That's how bad that is, you know what I mean? So to have strings pulled to be able to work at Sam's Club, you know what I mean? So, anyway, whatever I was saying, yeah, I think she was set up, but I think it's accurate. I was like, did they tell her that the person wound up fired, the one who created the problem? Because no one would actually say, oh, I get it, they have these big meetings and stuff and these big celebratory things, like they probably had a special summer fest or because if a graduation was in May or June, maybe they had nothing would have been that great that she had to be there. So anyway, but you know, she requested, you know, 6 months out, 5 months out on purpose. So she was like that. She wanted to make sure everything was set, and then they had to mess her up. And she, you know, flipped a lid per se, and that would be like, she didn't really flip lids, but there are really uncool things going on in society today, and people work really hard to get good people to snap out. That's hence my book, Duplicity and Duress, Snap Factories in the Making. These people will orchestrate and work hard enough to create someone who goes totally postal. Now, someone like my mom or myself, we're women, we're basically nice, and you know, we might like flip out and want to run away and get out of a workplace. A lot of people run from their workplaces with their hands in the air screaming, you know. That's not totally abnormal. But what the problem is, like, what if people are set up to outright, you know, wind up going postal or lashing out on the street, like totally, you know, just like all these things recently, you know, stabbings, going crazy, all that other stuff. So anyway, so that's that. And I'm wondering, you know, our last name is Cole. My dad's name was Frank Cole, and then my mom married him, but wound up divorced 10 years later. But I'm wondering if, oddly, if we're canaries in the coal mine, for a play on words. And what if people are testing or playing around with us a little bit first to see like how tactics work? That came up because my case is so bad, whatever started in 2011. And she had already quit Sam's Club and finally was able to collect a social security check, and she was willing to sacrifice like eating just to, just to not have to work, you know, and live off of really cheap. Luckily she could live with my aunt and they could share expenses. My aunt's second husband passed away, that's that. That woman there kind of looks like the image I have of the manager that my mom had in her mind. Like in my mind I pictured a like skinny-ish, you know, kind of a little bit rough around the edges, maybe rougher than that woman, but you know, that's how I pictured the boss of my, you know, I'm saying boss, but the manager who scheduled food sample ladies. By the time you're like 60, like the boss is out the window, you know what I mean? So it's kind of dumb, and people are desperate to feel like the boss. Even now, I'm just like, nobody's the boss. It's the boss, no one. Like in the end, it's just like, no one's really the boss of anything. So anyway, sorry, I'm talking a lot during the snow. On Monday, I'll try to do a peaceful, quiet snow walk. I'm assuming it'll actually snow. But I'm so fascinated and amazed that the snow started outside of the train station at Schuylkill Yards. I'm just like, I can't believe that. You know, that worked out really well. Or did it? It depends on how you look at it. So which way are we going? RIDC? Going towards here? Yeah. Whatever you call it, umbrella, but I tucked it away because I had no hope of any snow falling by the time I walked over the Schuylkill Yards and was, you know, or through the train station. I'm like, maybe we won't get anything, but I'm so glad we did. And I have a nice bright orange umbrella coming to match the channel. I usually don't do orange, but I went with it just for fun. It's a really cheap umbrella, and I've had my black umbrella forever. It's always good to have two because somewhere one breaks a rib, you know, or what have you.